Hi guys, I'm Trent, and this is Fun Bits About. On today's episode, if you haven't already guessed, potato chips. We'll talk about what makes a potato chip a potato chip. We're gonna look at some new, fun, and unique flavors. And also, we'll have a little story time. Our story begins with George Crumb, a Native American chef at Moon's Lake Diner in Saratoga Springs, New York. Enter Cornelius Vanderbilt, the Commodore. Look at that, it's the Commodore. Oh. The Commodore loved potatoes, and he claimed that George Crumb never cut his potatoes thin enough. And he would always send his potatoes back and tell Crumb, cut my potatoes thinner. And Crumb would say, okay, and cut his potatoes thinner. And the Commodore said, cut them thinner. One day, Crumb had enough. He took the potato and he cut it as thin as he could. And then he fried that thing in oil. So much oil that you couldn't pick it up with a fork. And he was excited because he was kind of scheming here. He wanted the Commodore to be mad. He sends out these small, crusty chips as we know them today. He sends them out to the Commodore. And the Commodore's like, I'll try it. I'll try it. I'll try a chip. Everyone try a chip once, right? So he puts the chip in his mouth. Oh, look at that. He loves it. He loves it. He's going the whole way. Oh my gosh, he loves it. The Commodore loved it. He said, wow, that was amazing. Way to go, Crumb. Of course, Crumb's like a little upset because he planned this thing to kind of anger the Commodore because he was always angry that he kept sending his food back, which he had great pride in. The Commodore loved the chip. And from then on, chips became a national staple. Except, this story's a lie. You might have heard it before, but it's not true. No mention in the Commodore's biography, in any story written about him, is this story. The main biographer states this story is not true. There might have been a chef, there might have been a disgruntled individual, but it was not the Commodore. We're gonna go back under the table, buddy. We hit a few things. It's okay. Back to Crumb. Was that part of the story true at least? Crumb was known. He wasn't just a chef. He was maybe one of the first celebrity chefs we had in America. Across the nation, his recipes were known, especially for sea bass and other fish. And not in any article written about him, or really in any of his obituaries, does it mention that he created potato chips, which were popular at the time of his death. So what really did happen? Was it Crumb? Some stories say it was his sister, Catherine Welks. She created the chips in her own eureka moment. They used to call her Aunt Kate or Aunt Katie. People said she brought them the chips that she made. Is that true? We're not sure either. There's recipes for chips dating back before this happened in 1853 in English recipe books. Who really created the chip? Some people say that they were serving potato chips at Moon's Lake Diner before Crumb even showed up. Regardless of if it was Crumb, if it was Welks, if it was way before this, if the Commodore was even there, the diner in Saratoga Springs and Saratoga Springs itself embraced the potato chip and kind of made it known. For a while, potato chips, instead of being known as potato chips or chips, they were called Saratoga chips. And a chip doesn't last long, especially a homemade chip. There was no means of preservation, there was no closed bag. A chip would last a small amount of time before it got soggy. So it kind of became a delicacy of the rich. There was even a Tiffany silver serving tray for it. People would have their hired chefs create it for them and nibble on it while they're eating crab or any other delicacy they might have had at the time. People loved potato chips. And potato chips, as I mentioned, were just kind of a local thing. You couldn't get them at other places. You couldn't just buy them because we didn't have the means of storage. Until around 1930, when a man from Nashville, Herman Lays, decided to nationalize this product and create a company. His company, Fritos. Psych, got you there. Lay's, of course. And Lay's took the country by storm. As we know today, with our various chip flavors, Herman Lay's provided us. Let's talk about some fun facts. In the study, Analysis of Food Crushing Sounds During Mastication is chewing, they took two groups of people. The first group, just regular, they had them eat chips. The second group, they put headphones on so they couldn't hear themselves eat chips. And the second group stopped eating chips sooner. They decided there was a correlation between this. If you can hear the sound of crunching, you will eat more chips. So we like the sound of crunching, and chip manufacturers know that, and that's why when you have a good chip, it's got a good crunch. During World War II, chips almost went extinct, but you didn't know that. They were deemed unnecessary, and production was halted. People got mad, they protested, the government said, okay, you can have your chips, and production resumed. Why do you think chips have ridges? It's for dip, makes the chip stronger. But I think that's a lie. I think the chips are stronger, so they cut my mouth more. Also, what's all this? All this up here. You think that's air, that's for transportation, so the chips don't break. That's mostly true, there's air in here. There's also a little bit of love. And a little bit of nitrogen. Keep the chips nice and fresh. What makes a chip a chip? The definition is very clear. You take a raw, fresh potato and you thinly slice it. Okay, that's very specific and very concise. Regular potato chips are called potato chips because they do that simple thing. You know what's not a potato chip? You know what's not raw, fresh, or thinly sliced? Pringles. Pringles aren't. They're not real chips. They're crisps. People come out here and they say, oh, you like Pringles? I love them, they're great chips. They're not chips, they're crisps. Because they're not raw, they're not fresh, they're not thinly sliced. They take dried potatoes and they form it into this chip. Ugh, right? Weird. I've never tried one. Let's do it. That's actually pretty good. But they're not chips, they're crisps. I thought to bring the video full circle, I'd go to Walmart and find some crazy chip flavors. We got honey mustard, crab. I got these crisps. They're Baconator flavor though, so maybe. And Cardi B's got a chip. Who would have thought, right? First up, honey mustard. That certainly tastes like honey mustard, but there's a spice in there. Is there spice in honey mustard? Why is it spicy? Next up, crab. There's not much complexity in that one. With the honey mustard, there's different flavors and there's kind of an experience. With the Utz crab chip, it's like eating a chip covered in Old Bay. And at the end, you saw how hard it was to swallow? That's because I just took a shot of Old Bay. Next up, the Pringles Baconator crisps. Ooh, look at that. Not much color. Oh, that's rough. Oh, it's not good. It tastes like you took a Baconator and then left it in the trash for a week. And then someone told you a story about that. And then they decided to make a chip about that. So it's like a crappy Baconator, but it's not good. Lastly, Cardi B's chips. There's a cheddar barbecue, so it's more of a normal flavor. Let's hope it tastes good. It's honestly not good either. It's like cheddary in the sense of like the packet of cheese powder from Kraft mac and cheese. And the barbecue is just like smoky in general. It's also like a little spicy for no reason. So avoid these flavors if I were you. Stick to the basics, stick to the classics. This has been Fun Bits About, and this was a fun bit about potato chips. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss a new video. I've been Trent, you've been the audience. Have a great day.